So good morning, everyone. Thank you again to ARC for having us here. I want to talk today about transforming warehouse distribution with new reality technology. My name is Santiago Arámbula, and I work with ThyssenKrupp North America in the corporate strategy department. So I just want to start by thinking a little bit about the longevity of the corporations in the S&P 500. If you think about 1950s, that timeline or that, let's say, longevity was around 60 years. Today is down to less than 20 years. And some people actually acknowledge the fact that every major corporation is going to go through significant transformation in the next 10 years. So if you look at that new reality, right, digital transformation is part of that new reality. And the ever-changing customer expectations, as well as the evolving mega trends that are creating turbulence in the markets, are affecting all of us. And if you think about it from a perspective of a 200-year-old German industrial conglomerate, the reality becomes quite scary. So for us, or today, I want to then share with you a little bit of this story about transforming the warehouse distribution and how we're using new reality technology to enable human augmentation. So therefore, I'm going to talk about new reality technology, or extended reality, as to use Preet's term earlier, and how that has helped us to benefit our customers or employees and actually bringing a positive effect for our bottom line. And talk a little bit about how we got there, which is not necessarily a straightforward path, and discuss a little bit or share with you some of the learnings along the way, and how having a strong strategic partner such as Microsoft along the way really helped us to achieve our objectives. So about ThyssenKrupp, you can think of us about a diversified industrial conglomerate. So to make it short, all the way from elevators to auto parts to submarines, basically. So we have a whole breadth of businesses. And in North America, we have 42 companies. 20 plus of them are focused on manufacturing. And for the last fiscal year, we ended up with $8.5 billion in sales in North America and employed more than 24,000 people in the region. So at ThyssenKrupp, we think about leveraging our engineering capabilities to build the world of tomorrow together with our customers and our partners. So for us, that's very important. And it's really, we leave that, let's say, value, especially when we're talking about exploring new technologies. And it applies to digital transformation, of course. So for us, innovation is at the center of our digital transformation. So what we've seen happen is, on the right-hand side, you have all these new and emerging technologies, right? That, like Preet was saying, the problem is not about the technology working. It's more about how you can use that technology to transform your business. And then on the left-hand side, we've seen companies that have come into new spaces or existing spaces disrupting. Like, for example, if you think about Uber or Airbnb, companies like that are using actual possible technologies to disrupt existing markets. So for us, that is eye-opening. And that really means that we can no longer trust in the old approach of incremental improvement, and somehow we need to also leverage these tools and technologies to leapfrog ourselves to get into that exponential development path. And how to do that is to look at your value chain and trying to look at the weakest links and how that all is interconnected, because it's moving away not just from a sequential, let's say, value chain thinking, but more into an ecosystem type of approach or array, where partnership becomes very important. And also the other piece of omnipresent connectivity, it's allowing us to then get real-time data from multiple and different, let's say, sources. So that brings the question about data. So how can you use your data as an economic asset? So as manufacturers, we have multiple sources of data. Of course, we have data from the engineering side in terms of drawings and technical specifications, all the way to the production side, where we have multiple sensors streaming and creating new sources of data. But the matter is how you can make this data really powerful for you is how you can link that data across all these different systems in order to make it useful, to provide you with an accurate representation of your current business today. Because once you get to that point where you have one source, one truth, real-time data to empower your employees to make the right decisions on a timely manner, is when you actually reap the value and the benefit. So you can move away from some manual tasks. You can also look at more efficiencies, and you can look at ways to impact your whole value stream. So linking the data is really important. And then at that point, we came to a realization that we needed some sort of guideline, some sort of framework to get to this digital transformation by using this data and making it useful for us. So what you see here is a series of revolving, let's say, emerging technologies revolving around one single central point, which is customer value add. So everything that we do in this space is about how we can better serve or impact our customers in a positive way. Because otherwise, playing with new technology may be a lot of fun, but it's really difficult to focus on derive value from it. And when I mean customer value, I mean something that your customer in the end is willing to pay for somehow. I'm not talking about like a new digital portal where you can communicate information to your customer about things that they already know, but more about how you can deliver on a timely manner, in a fast way, and very accurate critical components, or how can you reduce the fabrication time for a customized mobility solution for your customers. That's the type of value that we're talking about. And then in this construct, we use like the 3 legs of the stool approach, where we talk about digital operations. We also focus about digital products, as well as trying to get to new digital business models. So with that in mind, we have been able to attain some level of success, I would say, to the point that we have more than 20 use cases, successful use cases across different businesses and using different types of technologies. And like I said earlier, today we want to talk about how we can harness new realities or extended reality technologies, such as HoloLens in this case, to empower customers, empower our employees, and therefore positively impact our customers. And this example actually takes place at Bilstein, which is part of our automotive business. So at Bilstein, we build high-performance shock absorbers for original equipment manufacturers, also aftermarket products for existing vehicles, as well as special or customized solutions for special vehicle purposes. So a little bit of context in the automotive industry, a lot of you may already know this, but in the past 5 years in the US, the output of new sales for automotive has been at an all-time high, when we have been experiencing more than 17 million units per year being sold in the US alone. And that trend has also materialized on the aftermarket side. So for us, that positive development of the industry has really put up a lot of pressure in our company at Bilstein, because we need to live up to those expectations, not only in terms of the increased demand, but also the ever-changing and evolving customer expectations in terms of timeline for delivery. So the question was, okay, how can we try to attack this problem, right? To really fulfill our customers' needs as fast as possible and deliver the product that they need. And especially in the context of one of the lowest unemployment rates in the history of the country. So this piece about, you were talking earlier about the skills gap, but also the labor shortage that we're living, it makes it particularly difficult to solve this problem about getting to that demand volume. So we started asking ourselves the question, well, if it's about more hands on deck, then we need to train more people, but we have a problem because training people to be effective in our warehouse, it takes about 2+ weeks. So is there a way that we can leverage these new technologies to do that? And the idea of using HoloLens, and this was, I think, our 3rd or 4th HoloLens project, let's say, overall at ThyssenKrupp, came up as, well, maybe we can use this technology, or how we can really transform our operations and at the same time inspire and reskill, let's say, our workers to get to that point. So we worked with Microsoft on this virtual pick and pack solution for warehouse distribution, and this is how we tackled that challenge.
Motorsports division designs shock absorbers for the independent aftermarket.
We are under a very strong growth phase right now, but that comes with some stress as well on the warehouses that they have to ship a lot more product than they've had to in the past.
So we came here to the Microsoft Vision Lab to develop a better solution to improve our warehouse management at our wheel-designed operating company.
Well, it all starts with the customer. So once they place an order,
once Maria points her iPad at the same location where Alex placed the blower, she can participate.
So maybe we can get back to that page. I think it's probably page 11. Okay, so here we go again. Let's see. Just let me try to do it from here. And then, okay, here we go.
ThyssenKrupp Bilstein's Aftermarket and Motorsports division designs shock absorbers for the independent aftermarket.
we are under a very strong growth phase right now, but that comes with some stress as well on the warehouses that they have to ship a lot more product than they've had to in the past.
So we came here to the Microsoft Vision Lab to develop a better solution to improve our warehouse management at our wheel-designed operating company.
Well, it all starts with the customer. So once they place an order, they obviously have an expectation. In today's world, everyone wants it the next day. So as soon as they've hit that button, they're now kind of tapping their fingers, waiting for that product. And then we immediately want to pick, pack, and ship that as soon as we can.
The HoloLens provides great opportunities for improving efficiency and for improving quality in the process.
The order picker will see their most optimized route.
Let's go.
And will be guided to the location via beacons.
When the order picker approaches the bin location, the HoloLens highlights immediately which parts the order picker needs to pick and provides the ability to confirm the pick through scanning and audio confirmation.
Select.
Not only does it save the employee a lot of time, but also it's basically like a double check, so we make sure that he actually picked the right box, so we don't ship the wrong item to the customer.
The HoloLens is able to provide additional safety by highlighting forklift equipment and other moving hazards that it can detect.
It'll make for a much more efficient, safer, and a more enjoyable work environment for the order picking team.
Select.
If there's a problem, they have a damaged box, they can simply call their supervisor with a HoloLens, show what they see, and then get a quick answer back what to do.
We're gonna have to rebox that. I'll assign that to your task list.
On the same call, the supervisor can add another high priority order to the picker's schedule.
One of the really valuable features of HoloLens in the order picking process is that the supervisor is able to show the employee virtually in 3D how to better perform certain tasks and processes. So as they're doing their activities, there's an opportunity for learning moments where we can teach our employees how to do things better, safer, or faster the next time around.
Thanks to the efficiency gains provided by the HoloLens, we are able to provide the customer with the desired product faster than ever before in a great turnaround time and contribute significantly to our customer satisfaction.
But ThyssenKrupp, we believe in engineering tomorrow together for not only our employees, but all of our stakeholders. And by embracing this new HoloLens technology, this can help us to deliver on that promise.
Great. So you know what we're talking about when we're talking about the virtual pick and pack solution now. And here, something that was important for us is really keeping that customer in mind, right? And that's what's guiding all the development around it. But if you think about warehouse operations, it's really not very complicated as what Matt presented before with the whole oil refining process. But here is very simple. You get you're trying to minimize the time that every product is on your warehouse, and you just need to know and manage what's in the warehouse in terms of inventory. So if you think about it, you receive the product from production, you move it around, you store it, and once an order comes in from the customer, you try to pick, pack, and ship as soon as you can. So in this construct, what we're thinking about, okay, what is the limiting factor here? Because our problem is we cannot really keep up with demand. So as you saw in the example, it was really about increasing that ability to deliver on time. And the initial thought was really about training, right? So we need more hands on deck, because that's what we have done in the past, and that's what has worked for us. But given the context, that wasn't necessarily a sufficient solution. And also, when you start thinking about new technologies, it comes obviously at a cost. And when you think about just training, where you would have an asset that's sitting there for some time, then it just didn't really fulfill the business case that we needed to do. So therefore, we started to think beyond that. So if you think about the HoloLens equipment, it's really a computer with a lot of computational power. So it goes beyond just a holographic representation of what you saw there, but it also has the ability to interact with the user and also allows the user to interact with other people further away. So when you put that into the mix and you start thinking about, well, maybe I can replace the scan guns and the supporting systems behind the scan guns because I don't need that anymore. And then you start thinking, well, if I use this throughout the value chain, then I can have an actual good picture of what's in and what's out of my warehouse. So at any given point in time, if I have a good representation and very accurate representation of not only what's in the warehouse, but where it is located and how do I get to it in the fastest way, then that's when you start seeing the value. And when you integrate that back with your other systems, with the warehouse management system and the ERP system, then you can really think about stopping doing manual inventory, for example, which takes a long time and takes resources to do. And not only that, you can go beyond the actual employee, the pick and packer. You can go beyond the actual people managing the warehouse, and you can also impact people in other places of the organization, all the way back to production, and also engineering, and as well as finance, right? So you can provide visibility across the organization, which is something very important. So for us, really, it's down to picking what are your pieces of the business model that you want to secure with the technology, and then making sure that that guides your implementation for the digital transformation. So keep that in mind as all the time as you go forward. Now, one of the last pieces I wanted to show is talk about what are the improvements that we have experienced. So the first one is really about embedding this technology into the standard operations. So like I just mentioned, connecting back to the ERP allows you to think about stopping doing manual inventory and providing the correct information real time and at the right moment for employees along the organization or across the organization to make better decisions. And also for the pick and packer himself or herself, actually it changes the way they operate on a daily basis, because now they can rely on the device to help them guide through the process in a safer and friendlier way, I guess. So the next piece is about improved efficiency. So the gentleman that you saw in the video and you see in this picture, his name is Leon. He is the #1 picker at that facility, actually. And he was the baseline that we used for the business case and the use case. So he, after the development phase, because he was involved from day one into that, something that we have learned from other past experiences, he was able to attain 20% efficiency with 100% accuracy on the orders that he was picking against himself without using the device. So what that means is that not only you're getting the right orders out the door, but you're doing that faster and you're gaining more scale. So that's when we talk about human augmentation. It's also not only on the performance side of things, but also on the way they do the work, because the device allows you to create your own profile and define, if you want audible cues or visual cues or a combination of the two to be, to adapt to the new way of doing things in a way that feels more like personal to you. And the last piece is also about being able to train people. So I mentioned before we were used to take 2+ weeks to train people in the warehouse. And now with this tool, you can do it in 1 day. Actually, if any of you has been to IKEA to buy furniture, which I have several times, you're kind of half of the way there, but you always have this issue about trying to find the right places, the right pieces, and you don't even know when you're upstairs, when you go downstairs, if the piece is even going to be available. So if you can relate to that, this kind of helps solve that experience for our employees. And it's also not just for new hire, but for our current employees. It gives you, like Matt was saying, on-the-job training moments to help them improve their skill set, and then also allows them to, or allows us to provide a better outlook for them in a way that they become part of the future of the company and not so much part of the past. So we're trying to improve retention as well. Now the last piece is obviously our customer satisfaction, which is the centerpiece that's driving all of it. And by being able to address the Amazon effect of I ordered something I needed for yesterday, we have been able to increase our customer satisfaction. And actually the fact is that you could buy some of our Bilstein equipment actually in Amazon. So it's a direct head-to-head competition. But we're trying to make the customer experience and the shop experience much better, so more consultative, to try to create that customer stickiness that we're all craving for. So lastly, and hopefully I'm not going too far over time, the messages here are the wearables can really be revolutionary, as you see in this example, but you really need to find what's the business case and where in your value chain makes sense. Because it's, I think like Matt and Preet said, it's not really about the shiny object, it's not about the technology, it's about what is the correct use case for you and where you start to make it more impactful for your business. The second piece is considering the impact across all your value stream. Because like you saw in our example, we just started thinking about training because that was what we were used to doing and was like the immediate, more obvious, let's say, path. But only when you consider all the pieces of the value chain and how this can impact and enhance that, then you can get the full benefits of it. Otherwise, you may be leaving money on the table. Then, I already said this, but technology is already available. You walk outside, and in this room, you have already several potential partners that you can collaborate with. So it's looking about what's that ecosystem that is going to help you to get to your solution. Then empowering your employees. So this is very important because we have learned from prior experiments that you need to have your employees, your frontline employees, involved in the development of the solution from day one. In the past, we tried just approaching from the engineering side or approaching from the IT side, and that just doesn't work. So bring your employees day one because they are the ones that are going to be challenging you and providing the constant feedback that you need from an end user perspective to be successful. And also they can become your champions for change management as well. Then it's a journey. So it's not a once and done. Again, we started thinking about training and we ended up in a full integration into our operations. And not just for this example, but across other examples, when you think about your corporation, you can start in one part of the business, but you can translate those learnings into other parts of the business, which is what we have been doing at ThyssenKrupp for some time. And lastly, think about what's that limiting factor on your value chain, because that's what's going to drive significant transformation. And if you're not doing deep enough transformation, then it's more likely that someone else will do it for you. So with that, I wanted to conclude the presentation, and thank you again for having me here.